And there's breaking news that's coming in as we are speaking. Viewers, Xi Jinping and Putin have held phone talks. Remember, this is after we've heard Beijing's biggest recipient of loans from official sector institutions is Russia. Now the latest information coming in, Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin have held phone talks. This is after a lot of countries have said that they're not going to be speaking to Vladimir Putin on the details of what's happened. But these talks after Russian invasion of Ukraine, when the news that's just coming in, Xi Jinping holds talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. As we've also said, what's going to be happening is China egging this on. As we all know, Beijing's biggest recipient of loans totaling $151 million between 2000 and 2017 has been Russia. So as those details are coming in, is it China that's also refusing to call Russia's military action in Ukraine an invasion? What is the talk really about? What are they trying to decide? Where do the countries actually stand? As the breaking news coming in says, Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin are holding phone talks. This is coming simultaneously as we're being told that Zelensky invites Putin for negotiations, but Putin has not spoken yet to him. There's also talks that he could possibly be at a bunker right now, the Ukrainian president. But the latest information that's coming in, Xi Jinping is now having phone talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. Is this for negotiations? What are the talks? This is the first time the talks are happening after Russia invaded Ukraine. Viewers, I also want to give the information that we've had since some time with us, where we've been told about Russia's action continuing in Ukraine. We've been told that as we've been reporting from the war zone, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been taken to a bunker as Russian troops close in on Kyiv. A lot of action seems to be happening, as we're also seeing today sirens going off in the city of Kyiv. We've just spoken to a citizen who says that we're living in bunkers. Let me also go across to my colleague Ankit, who's joining us live from the digital newsroom. Ankit, you'll be picking up a lot of information that's coming in. There are airstrikes, evacuations, troop mobilization. As Republic is reporting live from Kyiv, Ankit, you've been in touch with all our reporters who are reporting from Kyiv and Ukraine and in other places like Patrick. Give us a sense of what is the latest information that you have with you.
Rhythm, I can tell you a couple of quick-fire conversations have taken place. First, we had Sergei Lavrov tell Ukraine that if they surrender, then they can have talks. Then we heard that Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, is being taken to a shelter. And then we've also found out now that Zelensky has asked Putin to come to the negotiating table. Simultaneously, Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin have held a phone call. This comes just a short while after the foreign minister of China, Wang Yi, said China maintained that the Cold War mentality should be completely abandoned and a balanced, effective and sustainable European security mechanism should be finally established through dialogue and negotiation. Chinese Foreign Ministry Wang Wenbing said this. China urged parties to respect each other's legitimate security concerns and opposed actions that hype up war. So this is what we can tell you. China has opposed actions that hype up war, and it has asked all parties to respect each other's legitimate security concerns. So that is so much as we can tell you about what China has said via its government, but we do not know yet what is the subject of discussion of the phone call between Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping. This is a developing story. We'll get you that information as quickly as we can, but most definitely there are quick-fire developments happening, and it remains to be seen whether or not any of these negotiation talks do happen between Ukraine and Russia. That's where we are at this moment, Rhythm.
Absolutely, Ankit. This is happening as harrowing escalation of hostilities continues in Ukraine. We're also being told there's more breaking news that's coming in, and Xi Jinping dials Russian President Vladimir Putin. It's important to see what Russia and China, Beijing, are talking about right now as Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin hold phone talks. Viewers, also I would like to tell you a sense about what Ankit has been talking about. Today's been a day that we've spoken to citizens in Kyiv, and they've told us about how they're staying in bunkers. They're also saying they want their independence. This is on the back heels of the Russian foreign minister stating that Ukraine should surrender. They want a change in the in Ukraine and the government in Ukraine. All this coming when ultimatums are being given at Kyiv's gate, and Xi Jinping and Beijing are holding talks with Moscow. Vladimir Putin are holding phone talks. This is the first time this is happening after Russia has invaded, for the first time, the biggest attack by Russia against another European country since World War II. And viewers, as we give you this information, remember Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky also pleaded with the international community to do more. Are sanctions going to be seen as enough? What is Xi Jinping, what is Beijing and Moscow talking about in the back heels of? As we remember, China has financed and been Moscow's biggest recipient of loans from official sector institutions. These talks are coming on the back heels of Russia having done a full invasion of Kyiv. The larger points that we have to remember here are, will China be egging on Russia? Because that is something we've seen earlier. Could there be a similar hostility that breaks out? Where do the countries actually stand, and which countries is Russia really speaking with? Which countries have imposed sanctions on Russia has to be seen. When it comes to the UK that's imposed sanctions, the West actually stating we will shield all sides from Russia no matter what. What ground does that hold is also something we're going to be talking about, as Russia says we want a regime change in Ukraine. And on the back heels of that, we're now being told Beijing is having talks with Moscow. These talks happening after the first time after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And this is also happening, as we've already said, one of its biggest allies is China. Is China going to now be providing that necessary support that Russia needs? Or will it also say that sanctions need to be there like the rest of the Western world? Will have to be seen. And will sanctions be enough? Because as we've spoken to our guests, they say sanctions in such situations are not enough. Will there be global help coming down in Kyiv, in Ukraine, for the Ukrainians? Because also remember, a short while ago, we broke the news that the Ukrainian president has been taken to a bunker. He refused to leave Kyiv, and Volodymyr Zelensky taken to a bunker as Russian troops have reached the city of Kyiv. We've also seen citizens, viewers, that we spoke to today who spoke about being in bunkers and how the civilian life has stopped in Ukraine. At such a time, Beijing dials Moscow over Ukraine invasion. Phone talks are held between Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, and these talks happen after the Russian invasion. We're also being told Zelensky invites Putin for negotiations. Now, as this is happening and Zelensky has also offered to have negotiations, is Russia going to be having negotiations with Ukraine, or are they going to continue with their airstrikes? Evacuations are happening. There is troop mobilization also happening around Kyiv. All these developments that are taking place today. And viewers, as we go across to that news of Xi Jinping having that talk with Vladimir Putin, we also remind you, right at the war zone, Republic continues to report live in dangerous terrains. We have the largest team there, where Shavan Sen, Patrick, Mridul, Surendra are continuing to give us updates, and those updates are getting more grim by the moment, where we're hearing about airstrikes. All this happening in the background of Ukrainian military vehicles, which are now also heading to give some help in Kyiv. Ukrainian army says fighting Russian forces also outside capital Kyiv. The big breaking news, Beijing dials Moscow after the invasion of Ukraine. We're back after a short break as we continue getting you updates. Stay on with us.